Hello everyone. Welcoming all of you to this informal discussion or informal session for discussing PSR optional of paper 2. Yesterday we have started the series. We are taking up now international relations, and the first unit we have started is Indian foreign policy. In the last lecture, in the last video, briefly I have touched what do you mean by foreign policy. If you remember, we have discussed the foreign policy is a set and it comprises of principle, strategy, actions, or decisions. And this foreign policy is undertaken by any sovereign state. Now, why it takes while interacting with other nation or other countries and with the international actors like global forum like UN in global arena. And we have also discussed briefly that there are various tools or instrument that are used by any sovereign state. They may be diplomatic, economic, military, or cultural in nature. And why they do so? Why they do have a foreign policy? Because they want to achieve national interest or security or prosperity or to preserve their core values. And also we have discussed this foreign policy in the views of scholars. I have told you one realist scholar, Hans Morgenthau, what is his view? He will focus on national interest. Then we have seen neoliberal scholars like Joseph Nye, how he uh, how he sees foreign policy. He says foreign policy is driven by values, cooperations, prosperity. And in the end, we have seen Sipsankar Menon, how he defines foreign policy. He tells it is minimaxing. Now today, we'll try to see a broader perspective of Indian foreign policy. And before beginning that, we should see what are the core objectives of our foreign policy. Now, to begin with, I will quote one former Indian diplomat. His name is Kanwal Sibal. Now, he says that our foreign policies are rooted in key principles and objectives. That means in India as a country is having some principles that is rooted in our culture, in our traditions, and that drives the foreign policy. Now, what are the broader objectives of our foreign policy? It's very simple. The first one is ensuring territorial integrity and sovereignty. Now, what do you mean by territorial integrity? That means we have to safeguard our borders. We have to maintain control over our territories. Now, we know India is having a large coastline, okay, of more than 7,500 kilometers. That means we should protect our like our coastal belt. So we should enhance our maritime security. In the northwest, we have a hostile neighbor in the name of Pakistan. So we have to protect our border. In the north, there is China, very hostile in nature. That means what our foreign policy should be formulated in such a way that we have to maintain the control over our territory. In 1962, we have seen how China has occupied almost it has come up to Arunachal Pradesh. That means it has threatened our sovereignty, right? Okay, there were unilateral withdrawal, but it is our objective of foreign policy so that we should maintain the territorial integrity and sovereignty of our nation. That means to safeguard the borders. Now, one more example I will tell you how this foreign policy helps us to do so. You know, there is a BRI project of China, and one of the arm of BRI is CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Now, that runs inside Baltistan. Okay. Now, because of this sovereignty concern, you may be knowing India has not joined BRI. Now, this is a classic example of how to maintain territorial integrity, sovereignty through foreign policy. Okay. So we have denied that we will not join BRI because China has not taken the concurrence of India. It has not taken into confidence of India because this CPEC runs through Indian territory and this is a violation. The second broader objective is pursuit of international peace and security. If you can remember, in an Indian Constitution, Article 51 says that India will strive to promote internal peace and security. Now, how to do that? This is through the foreign policy. We have to give the shape to the Article 51, right? Now, we as a country always advocate peaceful coexistence. That means let us exist, let also other prosper, like our neighbors or extended neighborhood. We want peaceful coexistence. Everybody should thrive. They should grow. Okay, there should be mutual cooperation. We have taken a stance of non-alignment. Okay, from the Nehruvian era, we have always taken a strong stand that we will not align with any kind of military blocks. Okay, then non-interference in other countries' affair. We should not interfere what is happening in Nepal, what is happening in Bhutan. We should not interfere their internal politics. So that is also rooted in our foreign policy. Now, to give a current example, now the Russia-Ukraine war is happening, right? Now, when the West, along with USA, they are putting a lot of sanction on Russia. So, what is the stance of India? India has neither criticized, okay, nor like it has also told openly, right? It has not gone with the USA led Western bloc, okay. But what PM Modi he told that this is not the era of war, okay. So that reflects that our commitment to internal peace and security, right? Even the external affairs minister Jaishankar also clearly highlighted that what is our stance, okay, that we don't want any kind of we don't want any kind of war, okay. We will see our national interest. Now the third thing is whether this foreign policy is all about external thing. Definitely it is not about all about external thing. We should also ensure that this internal development happens and well-being of citizen also takes place. Now how foreign policy helps to do that? Because through the foreign policy we ensure inclusive growth, sustainable growth, robust economic growth, right? Social progress. See, we as a country of 140 crore people or more than that, we are having a lot of issues, social issue like poverty, hunger. You may be knowing what is our rank in UNDP SDI index or multidimensional poverty index. See, we have a plethora of issue. Now, how our foreign policy directs, okay, or how we formulate our foreign policy to eradicate all this. Now, what you have to do that? We are like constantly striving to have trade agreements. For example, SICA, Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. We have done that with many countries. For example, Singapore. With Japan, we are having preferential trade agreement, okay, or free trade agreement. With South Korea, we are having comprehensive economic partnership agreement. Now, why we have done all this? To boost our trade, to attract FDI, right? So that our economic cooperation with other country will enhance, and this in turn will increase our GDP, right? Then this spillover effect will come to the common people, right? One more example, how this foreign policy, like in the last class also I told you, helps us to realize this dream of internal development. See, India it has opted out of RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. This is basically those Southeast Asian country plus other 6 partners, they have tried to formulate a free trade agreement. India was doing the negotiation, but then the final, when the accord was given, India has not signed it. Why? Because we have to protect the interest of domestic manufacturers or the domestic or the local farmers, the domestic businesses. So this is our foreign policy. Okay, try to see. See, this foreign policy doesn't act in isolation. Okay, whatever goals we have set for our country, there is definitely a role of foreign policy. Okay, simply suppose you are thinking in a silo like, okay, economic growth means only you have to increase the GDP. No, this foreign policy also attracts. See, we are going, our external affairs minister Jaishankar is going to many countries. For what? To strengthen our bilateral ties so that we'll have a lot of trade, we'll have a lot of cooperation, right? That's why we are going closer to that European countries or USA. So what we are trying to do, we are like strengthening, fostering partnerships so that we'll have technological supports, we'll have, let us say, transfer of technology, we'll manufacture in India. So all this thing our foreign policy does. So the effect what we are seeing at home is the result of our foreign policy. The more we actively engage with all the partner, okay, then only we'll get the fruit, right? So in this class, I have tried to like highlight what are the broader objective of foreign policy. Now there are also other objective. We will see it in the further class. As I told you, this class I will try to make it very short, maximum 10 to 15 minutes, not very long. So let us continue this discussion. There are so many other objectives. One by one, we'll discuss with examples and with current as well as contemporary examples. Past also we will see. So thank you everyone. Thank you for the patient listening. Thank you.